Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video I wanted to do an Arakni deck update from the last video that I did with my original deck tech, some things that I've learned. Overall I've played about 60 plus games with Arakni on Talishar, just like grinding out the list. Granted, these are Talishar results, so anyone who's played Talishar knows, like, take that with a grain of salt. But just to give some reference with the hero as a whole, I'm sitting at like right at 60% win rate. With this list specifically, I'm at 57%. But however, like with the list, I started, like, I did the math. I started like 8 and 17, just like learning the hero, did really bad. And then since then I've been 25 and 15 with the list, so a lot better. Still not where I want to be on a win rate of Talishar, but you never know what kind of quality opponents you get. Regardless, I've learned a lot from the hero. I want to kind of give my thoughts on the hero. I want to give my thoughts on the list, changes I've made, so on and so forth. So first off, let's talk about the hero as a whole. There's 3 ways you're seeing Arakni be played right now. There's aggro, there's mid-range, there's control, which sounds like no shit, right? But like, you have one part of the community that thinks like they want to play really aggro with captain's calls, with Art of War, with even bigger than that, stuff like that. Then you have your mid ranges, which people who are still trying to like sneak in some captain calls here and there, but really they're trying to play like a mid range style. Then you have control, which is me. It's really control into mid range. It really because with Arakni, his control version still deals damage. It's not like Oldheim where like he's literally playing to deck you out. This control game plan is doing both. Like Michael Hamilton apparently said that he thinks this is gonna be like the new control hero, and I agree. Once people figure out how to do it. So I started off with like a mid-range to aggro build, and then I was like, that's not going to work. Anyone out there who plays aggro, if it's working for you, it's working for you. Keep doing it. Like, prove me wrong. I don't think that this hero is designed to do that. I think you're trying to squeeze like a square freaking peg into a circular hole or whatever, right? Like you're trying to fit something into it's not fit. It's not meant to do that. This deck is meant to deal damage, slowly whittle down your opponent, control their deck, and really just like grind them out, right? And kind of attack them from both sides, dealing damage while also like threatening to deck them out. So I'll kind of go over the list. We'll go over this list and we'll go over my other list. Let's look at this real fast, doing this kind of on the fly. There it is. So this is the original list. The original list had stuff like Lead the Charge, which I've since taken out. It had, let's see, it had just red cut to the chases. We've added yellows in. It had Fleece the Frail, which I believe we fully have taken out here. We've taken out the reds at least. It had Nimblism, which we've taken out, which was kind of a hard one. It had Payday, which we've taken out. Scar for Scar taken out. Again, we were going for more of an aggro plan. And then finally Red Shreds. So, and then we had Slay the Scholars in full 9 of. So that was the original list. Since then, we added in yellow cut to the chases in place of Nimblism. I do kind of miss having some Nimblism as a 7 breakpoint. However, it hasn't been that bad. We did add in blue Annihilate the Arms. Fleece the Frail. I noticed that a lot of decks you're playing have a lot of 3 blocks, and so like it is a 0 cost attack for 4, which is nice. And if you're wanting to go for a lower cost curve, definitely add the reds in. But you rarely get the silver off of this. You just don't get as much as you think you would. Findle's Fine Spirit, we added in. It's just really good. I would take this out against decks where you really need the 3 block, right? Like you really need it against Bravo, against Guardians. You really need it against Briar sometimes, depending on how she's playing. So you can do the breakpoint with your equipment. Things of that nature. But the really grindy matchups like Icelander and even Oldheim, honestly, Fi, it's really good into. You block a Phoenix Flame with this, gain a life, or block a Kadachi, gain a life. You can attack with it, stuff of that nature, right? Plunder the Poor, we were running 6 up. We're still running 6 up, still running the 3 No Witnesses, still running the Razor Reflex. Sack the Shifty, we have completely put in now. We had this in the sideboard, I believe, before. Yeah, now we have it in the main board. There's a lot of decks with Go Again. Basically it replaced the 2 or less. I see this getting silver more in the other one. And then we replace yellow or red shreds with yellow shreds, and then put the blue shreds in there. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, Slay the Scholars. We're not running a 9 of anymore. We're running a 6 of, and then Surgical Extraction obviously is the same. So we basically swapped the Nimbleisms for Cut the Chase. We add in Fyendal's Fighting Spirit. We swapped in the Fleece the Frails for Sack the Shifty. We swapped red shreds for yellow shreds. And then we got rid of Paydays and put in a different blue, Annihilate the Arms. And that's pretty much it. And then got rid of Scar for Scar in place of Fyendal's Fighting Spirit. So a lot of changes. And I'll kind of talk about why. So I don't think aggro is the game plan with this deck. I think it definitely is control. It's a control hero. The hero is meant to be control. The reason I took out Nimbleisms was because of the 2-block. I found that having a 2-block is just terrible. In this deck, you want to have that 3-block. You want your whole hand to be 3 blocks. And if not, it's because it's a Razor and you get the Razor in Arsenal as fast as possible. And then Fyendal's Fighting Spirit obviously will gain you a life anyway most of the time. So my whole goal with this deck is honestly it's like two-prong. It's to control their deck them out while also dealing damage. So hopefully you get them down to like a 10-15 life total. And they're also at like 15-20 cards, 10-15 cards. And they're really having to decide, okay, do I take this damage and threaten him killing me so I can keep my deck? Or do I keep blocking? Hopefully I can eke out damage, but then you deck him out. So it's really easy for that. So the core of the deck is, block with 2 cards, use 2 cards is ideally what you want to do. If you're doing it really good, you block with 2 cards and like your headpiece and your foot. So that's basically like 8 block. And then you're able to attack with your dagger, attack again. If they don't block it out, you make silver and then you recycle your equipment block back in just a really good time. For Eradicate and Leave No Witnesses, you obviously want to wait until you have a Razor or a Cut the Chase or a Shred is a really big deal. Really important. For Shred, the reason I switched to yellows is because with Shred, you don't care about how much damage you're dealing. You care about getting the on hit. That's all you're caring about. You're not trying to deal damage. I mean, dealing damage is a plus. Really, you're trying to get the on hit. So you can pop your mask with the attack, banish 2 cards. Really nice. In the main deck, we're running obviously 2 Spire Bites, Whispers, Tunic. I'm running Ironhide Gauntlet. If you're running Bury Scissors Belief, just stop, please. It's not a good arm piece to run. Run Ironhide Gauntlet, or if you want to run, if you don't want to pay for it, run Iron Rot. I found that I'm just trying to block that 4 breakpoint more times than not. I really don't care to pitch to block 2. I don't want to pitch a block 3 to then block 2. Doesn't make sense unless it's a dominate. Then it would be nice, but other than that, not as important. In the sideboard, we have 3 Command and Conquers. I have the Marvel in here just to flex, but I don't have 3 Marvels. 3 Command and Conquers, just really good against anybody that values their arsenal. It's a 3 block, really good in the Dromai matchup. Really good in a lot of matchups. Wastes or Spite, gain a life if you're behind. Blocks 4, really good against Guardians, really good against Icelander, really good against Kano, even really good against Briar, technically, depending on how things are going. Remembrance, I put in against a lot of decks. Are trying to just deck me out now. I put this in against all the Guardians. I put this in against Icelander because it can pitch anyway. I put this in against who else? The Mirror, and I put this in against Dromai. And then Sigils, I find myself putting these in more times than not. Just really good. I mean, 9 more life is just awesome for your game plan. And then I'm running 3 AB for Wizards, just really good for that as well. So let's talk about matchups. These are my matchups. I'll show them. I don't care. Arakni in the Mirror, I'm 5 and 6, not too bad, basically even. It's really just like that's a super skill intensive matchup, but also whoever gains tempo, you just win. Azalea, I've only played 2. I won both of those. Bravo is 100% the hardest matchup for Arakni. Without a doubt, hardest matchup. The constant dominate, the constant on hit effects, the ability to not let you just block with 2, to attack with 2, and then even when you do block with 2, attack with 2, they have a ton of D-reacts and they can just stop you out. So you have to really like almost race them down and hope to God they don't hit their cripplings early. I will say every game's been close, like less than 10 life, or like there was one Bravo game where we both had 1 card left and he just killed me. But like overall, not a good matchup. Briar, I've only played 2. One of them freaking high rolled me with Champ Out Heroic, nothing I could do. The other one I just beat in a race, which was funny. Dash, I played mostly boost dashes because everybody's trying the new like mech crazy stuff, the hyperdriver. And I saw one guy with a Hanibi blast. I can't say it, Hanibi blaster. And then like maximum velocities. Boost dash, you just win. It's literally solitaire. It's free. The only time I've the only time I came close to a boost dash beating me was one time I had a boost dash, have a counter on the blaster, boosted twice, shot with the blaster for like 6 overpower when I blocked out because the other 2 were off Teklo Pounder. He got like back to back Teklo Pounders, and then he attacked with like a throttle for 8 or something. He attacked with 2 cards. It took my whole hand. Then he did the blaster for 5. Then he did maximum velocity for 10. Like just insane. Even then though, I still had 10 life and he decked out. Control Dash is Arakni's other bad matchup. You just lose if they even remotely play well. You should not win that matchup. At least not the way I play. Dorinthia is a pretty good matchup. The one I lost, we were both at 1 life, and the other 2 were pretty comfortable, to be honest. You can block out a lot of her good attacks. You can prevent her Dawnblade from hitting, and honestly, it's not that bad. Right? Like if I go to actually, let's go to my actual Arakni, so it's 60%. So 100% against Levia, 50, 50, 50, 50, 100, 100. So like my bad matchups, Bolton's been 40%. Bravo's 0-3 and Fi's 0-3. So as you can see, like you can literally see like what I've played against. I'm pretty much even or better against everything except Jeremiah on here is 3-0, but I guess I wasn't logged into my account when I was playing because I'm 5-1 against the deck. But Jeremiah is 3-0. Yeah. So really it's Bravo is a bad matchup. Control Dash can be a bad matchup. And then Fi is not a good matchup either because he can go so wide. It's just really hard. Every matchup I've had against Fi, even though I'm 0-3, has been less than 6 life. Super like close. And I'm still trying to crack that matchup best I can. But overall, it's not a great matchup. And then the final like matchup, I think is Bolton if he hits his combo turn early, but you also can just deck him out depending on how it goes. So the good matchups are any of the other aggro besides Fi. Even Briar, she has to really high roll. Katsu, you just win. Like you can, especially if you played against Katsu, you know what to block, when to block. And then Viserai is 2-2, but I mean overall, I think it's slightly favored. Reinar is slightly favored in my opinion, unless he just like high roll intimidates you. Oldheim is fun. That is a super skill intensive matchup. Both games went down to like 2 life each. One I decked out in Oldheim, and the other one he just beat me because he had like back-to-back Oakenolds nuts. And then yeah, Icelander, I've played 1 on this list, and then I've played if I played more than 1 Icelander. I was 1-1 against Icelander. So 1-1. Matchups okay, it's fine. Yeah, so kind of like key board ends, right? So really against, I haven't gone over every sideboard like within like super in depth, so I apologize for that. I will say anything that, so I bring in sigils against like high aggro like 5 because I want to try to buy some life, right, in order to deck them out. And then I also put it in against like super grindy matchups like the Arakni matchup or something like that. I board everything in against the mirror, but Remembrance goes in against anybody that could possibly deck me out, obviously, and it goes in against Dromai. I am 5-1 against Dromai, and I'm telling you, I have not played bad Dromais, but I'm telling you right now, the matchup sucks. It's definitely not favored, but it's winnable because I have 6 poppers in my deck with 2 Remembrances, and I just keep cycling poppers over and over and over and over. And if I hit my poppers early and hit them consistently, like every turn, it's just miserable for them. Really, when Dromai gets bad is when they start using like Rake the Embers and stuff. It's not fun. Oasis Respite, I play in anything where I need to like a lot of dominate, or like Wizard is really big, and then Command and Conquers is anybody who values their arsenal, and Dromai. Pretty simple. I normally operate on 63 to 66 cards. That's the great thing about Arakni right now is you don't need to have a 60 card core if you don't want it in order to perform. The only time I really have a 60 card core is against high aggro. Normally I have 63 to 66 cards in my deck and I board in stuff. So overall the deck's not doing too bad. I mean, it's not like unbeatable, and I'm getting better at it slowly, but You know, overall, I'm super happy with it. I will say that kind of some key learnings. Findle's Fighting Spirit is great for the deck. Cut to the Chases are probably better than Nimblism because it's the 3 block and it still is the same thing. You're trying to cycle your equipment as much as humanly possible, to not only for the effects that they give, but for the the effects they give, but for the continued extra block. And I'll tell you right now, like on Talishar, you won't realize this, but when you play in person, you will. Like if I attack with Leave No Witnesses, right? Even if you don't have an arsenal, let's say you don't even have an arsenal, and I look at the top of your deck and I'm like, oh, all right, I'll leave that on top, right? And you're like, oh shit, right? That's something he obviously wants to banish. If he's leaving the card on top, maybe it's a good card. And I've seen people like block by like 3, like they're like block 7, and I'm like, okay, and it wasn't even a good card. Now, don't always do that, like, or I'll be like, oh, I'll bottom that, and it was actually like a decent card, but I just don't want them to see it until way later. And then they're like, oh, okay, no blocks, and then you banish something else, right? Or if I have a Cut to Chase in hand, like Leave It a Witness and a Cut to Chase, I'll look at it, it's an okay card, I'll bottom it because I know I'm going to get to opt again off Cut to the Chase, and then I opt to Cut to the Chase, then maybe leave that on top, right? There's a lot of mind games you can play with your opponent, because when you say leave the card on top, they have to decide, is he bluffing? Is it an okay card that he just wants to banish? Is it a really good card I need to save, right? You can really screw with your opponent really quickly. I'll also sometimes, like, I'll pop boots after I've blocked with them, even if I don't have an attack in hand, because I'll force maybe a D-react out of their hand. Just really good for that. There's a lot of... sorry, it's 2 a.m. where I'm at. There's a lot of mind games you can play with this deck. Super, super nice. Right now, we're running, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 blues in the deck. Which I haven't had a power issue at all. You maybe could take this down to 18 and get another good attack in there, but overall, nothing too crazy to write home about. I like having a lot of blues personally. 21 might be a little bit high, but I don't mind it. I like to be able to pay for razors, pay for eradicates, pay for stuff like that. And sometimes I find myself not even having enough pitch, to be honest with you. Excuse me. So yeah, that's the baseline of the deck. Overall, it's done really well for me. Like I said, this deck specifically is 57%. Overall, as a whole on Talishar, it's at 60% win rate, which again, Talishar results like teach their own. Yeah, overall doing pretty well. I'm really happy with it. If you want to play a more controlled mid-rangey version of the deck, definitely play this one. I highly suggest trying it out. I'll leave a copy down in the description below. And yeah, hopefully y'all like this. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not me, totally fine. Go to our Fleshbug career, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we can get more people seeing this game. Join the Discord down below if you want. Whether you're a Ninja player or not, doesn't matter. Hopefully your Dynasty boxes have gone well, or packs, or just singles that you're buying. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.